Hello and welcome back.
What's
Hey, Pop
up?
Girlies.
I always try to start in the way that is like the craziest. It just kind of
By
is like whatever.
screaming.
Oh, did I scream? Was it like too loud?
I think we all
No,
scream.
I think we all scream.
Well,
No, it
I
was
just let my
Levi. It was perfect.
I let
It
my
was, it
brain take
was, it was
wherever it
perfect.
wants to go. Thank you.
The heart wants what it wants.
Thank you, love.
Selena.
Thank you, life.
It
Oh, that song is so good.
Thank you,
is really
Justin.
good.
When she performed it, when everyone thought she said thank you, Justin, instead of thank you, Jesus.
Oh,
Wait, when did that happen?
She performed it on like the AMAs, like for the first time, and it was actually really good. And she's not a
Wait,
very
that
good like
I
live
do know
performer.
that performance. Oh, yes, I know what you're
Yes.
talking about.
And like in a part of air, like music air, she like closed her eyes and says thank you, Jesus. But it kind of looks like she's saying thank you, Justin, and everyone freaked out about it. And then
Is
she
that the
posted on
year?
Instagram, thank you, Jesus.
Is that the year
So
that she wore that beautiful red dress?
yes.
That I think is
It
her
was
best look
like
ever.
her greatest hits album era. Like when she
Yes,
tried
that
to
like
do that.
compilation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it was 2014, right?
Something like that.
I think it was because I
Yeah.
think it was peak 1989 era. I'm looking it up because I
Oh,
want to see.
I think it was a little bit after.
No, it was 2014.
Dang, that was 10 years ago. Oh,
That is her best
oh.
look of all time. That look is
that dress
amazing.
that she looked to she wore to perform, or the red
No, I'm
one.
talking. No, the red one. I love the red one.
Yeah, that one is good. I think I like the dress that she performed in a little better. It was so good.
Oh, I don't. Okay, I'm looking at it. Maybe I need to see it moving. It's fine, but I like the. I just think the red makes. I love the pop of that red.
Right. Okay.
And I,
Cool.
but you know what? Oh, actually, in this picture, I like it more now. I
Yep.
like this picture more. Anyways,
Yep.
So, hot tracks.
It's kind of time for hot tracks.
I'm excited for mine.
Oh my
well,
God.
then you
Do
should go first
you want
then.
me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was having a really hard time choosing mine, and the one that I resorted to is like hysterical. So, there is like the Sean album was really good, and like there are a few other ones that I was thinking, but I've been on my country bag, and specifically Sarah Evans. Maria, I don't know if you know her.
Familiar with the name.
Oh, Country Queen.
Country
Oh,
Queen.
Missouri Girl. So it's a song called You'll Always Be My Baby. It's insane.
It's not a Mariah Carey song. It's not the. It's like
It's
not
not
like
the
a
Mariah
cover.
Carey.
Better.
Oh,
But is
I
it the
said
same
it.
song?
Nope.
Oh.
Has one of the best country choruses of all time. That Sarah Evans was the queen of a country chorus in her day.
yeah, she kind of was the
Severely
queen, honey.
underrated country vocalist. I don't know what she's doing now, so we may have to like give an asterisk for this because she might be like something that we don't agree with now. But
Right.
What?
but you'll always be my baby. Add it to the list, girl. She's
Does
insane. And
does she
she
not make
deserves
music
like
anymore?
she does, but it's like bad.
Uh,
Her big thing now is she does a podcast. Um, I
Whoa.
don't think she would come on Pop Girlies, um,
She released
but
an
yeah.
album this year.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that Real Fine Place album, and then the album Stronger was her peak. But I feel bad, like she never got like her moment,
wait,
Like how
she was eliminated during the season premiere of The Masked Singer season 9. She was Mustang, and she was eliminated alongside Dick Van Dyke, who was
No.
Gnome.
wow. Um,
But
yeah.
I
So
agree with you, Drew. She never got her moment. You're right.
no. And she deserved it. She was close, but like I looked at her like awards and nominations tab on Wikipedia and I was like, this just doesn't feel right. Like I feel like she wasn't in the correct world whatever simulation that we're in, she was in the wrong one because if she were in the correct one, she would have like many Entertainer of the Year trophies.
Did she never got one, right?
Many.
Oh, girl. I think she only got nominated for female vocalist like once or twice.
That is crazy. I'm looking at them right now. That's
I
crazy.
know. It's so sad. I think she only has one CMA and it's like for video or something. And this is
Yeah.
like in the CMA's prime, like when you actually looked at CMAs for
Yeah, you're right. It she only has one, yeah. And it's for music video for Born to Fly.
like strong, like a little bit stronger, didn't get anything crazy. But anyway,
It-
yeah. If you love country music, like give her a try. But like specifically the Stronger and Real Fine Place albums, that was like when she was at her peak. Some of the other ones are like, okay. But no, her voice is insane. It's so unique for like a country female too. She's
yeah, she has a
amazing.
great voice.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, that was my
Tea.
Slay.
yeah.
Country
Maria,
education.
what's yours?
Yeah, well, mine is, I think, kind of obvious. I haven't been listening to like a ton of music this week. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, just like help my brain kind of get in the zone for like working. Because sometimes I just get into a space where music really distracts me when I'm trying to work. So lately I've been doing a lot
Shout
of
out to podcasts.
shout out to podcasts.
No, like what podcasts have you been listening to? Shout them out.
Oh, I thought you were saying, in general, shout out. Too Much Information is an iHeartMedia podcast, which I
Okay.
love. So definitely look into that. Super duper cool. Most of the information there, it's like more like pop culture relevant topics, like movies, TV shows,
Okay.
just general pop culture. But the two guys who do the podcast are incredible journalists. They're so extremely knowledgeable, and when they say too much information, they really mean too much information. Like you learn the craziest amount of stuff about anything you could dream up. So highly recommend. But my hot track has been really like the only actual song I've been listening to in between the podcasts, and it's Drums of Death by FKA Twigs because it just came out a couple days ago and it's so insanely good. It was at the very beginning of the Eusexia video, so like we already knew that it was a song that was coming, but now we have the full version, and I'm obsessed with it. We all
And
know that Drew isn't a
and
fan,
oh, I was gonna tease and say that every Pop Girlies host loves it.
right?
No.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I feel like I'm listening to the wrong thing when I play it. Like I feel like my phone like got a weird Spotify like bug or something and I'm listening to the wrong thing. 'Cause I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like what about it? Are you just obsessed with everything about it? Like the production, like
yeah,
it basically is just like a dance track with just like a little bit of vocals.
The
yeah,
melody is so good that she sings
it's so
though.
good. It's so good.
And I love the intensity of the drums.
Hmm. And it's like I'm glad
It's
that we
Serve
got the
City.
visual for it before we actually got to hear the song, because now it's like when I hear the song, I think about the awesome like office dance break that's in the
Yeah,
video.
it's so good.
It's just so good. I love it. Um,
Well, maybe once like the whole album comes out, I'll like it better, like within the context.
Perhaps.
You know what? Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. I think I'm really gonna like the album. I mean, like the song is like it's not like I I won't not listen to it. Like it's not like a skip for me. I'm just like, well, this was I listened to it, I'm like, oh, that was nothing.
Well, it's
Like
Oh
I'm
so
like,
yeah.
much of
oh,
something.
It's everything.
I'm like, oh, like
It's the
okay.
whole universe.
Like
So
I
you
think I
don't
just
like the
wanted it.
glitchiness of it.
I'm like, oh, this is just like an interlude. Like, why? Like, okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Eusexia is a practice, so you
Yeah.
have to just practice it, you
I mean,
know?
it's not like I'm not like, oh, this is so like this sucks. I won't listen to it. Like I hate this beat or whatever. It's good, but like I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Again, the
It's okay.
context.
The context.
But I'm happy that my pop girlies are living.
Right. So yeah, that's my track. What about you, Levi?
Well, I am having a repeat artist, an artist that I shouted out, I believe on the Blessed and Rest video. I think that episode. My hot track was a song called Slugger by Sasami, and that was like the lead single for her new album that's coming out in March. And she released a new song, so now there's three singles that are out. And she just released a song called Just Be Friends. And again, I am like the mayor of Gag City. It is so good. She's just like every song to me is just undeniable the second it hits. The melody is so insane. The lyrics are wonderful. The production is like so wonderful to listen to, but also like not obvious. I mean, she's an alternative indie artist that is like making a step in a popular direction, but not, I think, for like mainstream like appeal, but it's I think something that she's really interested in. And yeah, the chorus of this song is like it's like Taylor Swift could have written this chorus, which is
It's
like the
insane.
biggest compliment I could give anyone. Yeah, I made Drew listen to it and it's so good.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Maria, I think that you
Hey.
would like so technically the first single that was released from the project was called Honey Crash, but like she's referred to Slugger as like the lead single. But I
Okay.
love all three of
No,
them.
Maria would
Maria,
live for sure.
I think you
I
like all
listened
of
to
them.
Slugger. I liked it.
I think you would live for Honey Crash.
Oh my gosh, cool.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah, she's so
Yeah, I'll
cool,
have to
and
listen to more.
I have a signed vinyl coming my way.
T. Is
I
she going on
support indie
tour?
artists. She's like on like a weird tour now, but like she's not coming to Chicago because she wants me to die.
Girl.
You'll probably get a Chicago date after the album comes out. When does it come out? Like February?
March,
March?
so long.
Oh my God.
I know.
You were
Oh my
talking about this
God.
like when we were driving home from that wedding.
Yeah. And
Girl.
Honey Crash was released in like freaking summer. Yeah.
Girl, that's so long.
That's like how Billions was released in like 2021.
Yeah, it was kind of weird
Or
that
no,
the
it was
Caroline,
Bunny's a Writer, I think was
Bunny's
well,
Rider
released.
was
because
released in the summer of
it was
2021.
kind
Yeah.
of weird
Yeah.
because that album rollout, like I didn't was it wasn't announced that it was like part of an album until like
No, they
a
were just
while
like
in.
standalone singles. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
because
album
some of the
wasn't
standalone
announced.
weren't on Desire, right? Like she released some songs in that period that weren't on it, right?
Oh, I thought all of them were on Desire.
That's
Oh,
what I thought
maybe
too.
not. It
But
was kind of weird.
Yeah.
she didn't announce the album until Welcome to My Island. That's when the
Yes.
album announcement came.
Welcome.
Which, by the way, to somebody who I know is going to be listening to this, one of my best friends, Alex Awishi, I love you very much, but the Charlie XCX remix of Welcome to My Island is not better than the original one. And since I said it on a
No.
podcast, it's the fact.
Oh,
That's
It's just not better. It's not
it's
it's
better.
not
not.
better. It's something entirely different. I don't even think they're comparable.
No.
But if we're going to compare, it's not better. I'll compare them.
Right.
Okay.
Welcome to My Island is like an all-time song for me. That song ascends me the second I hear her wailing and those like
Yeah.
electric guitars. And I mean, sorry, that bridge. Like, I am my father's daughter in the end.
Also, shout out because one time we were sitting in Levi's apartment silent and I just sang the whale at the beginning and scared the fuck out of Levi's cats.
To this day, they do not fuck with Welcome to My Island. Every single time we play that beginning, the whatever that they freak out. They do. They are not Carol. They're Caroline antis.
No.
Yeah, they really are.
I need
What a
that.
shame.
We're gonna get that Caroline next year. I'm telling you. We're gonna get new Caroline.
We better.
Praying.
I think we're getting it. Like I'm feeling it.
Hope Drunk ever asking for a new Caroline album.
But yeah, that is my hot track. Just Be Friends. It's great. Everyone should listen to it.
Slay.
Cool. And maybe when Caroline releases next year, she can open for the Pop Girlies tour.
Yeah, she can be on. She can be an opening act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe on like one leg.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like South America, Australia. Like
Yeah, the Oceania
Sabrina
for
Carpenter
sure.
treatment.
Yeah, she gets this Singapore.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
right. And then who else?
Gaga for North America for sure.
Gaga can open. Actually, Ellie Main could probably open too.
I think Katie gets like Eastern Europe.
Yes, very that, very that.
Like I think Katie is opening for us in Poland.
And Taylor like doesn't go on the tour. She funds
Taylor
it.
Taylor funds it. Maybe there's like a few nights where like we bring Taylor out as like the surprise song.
We perform us.
We perform us.
We perform
We perform You're
like
on Your Own Kid in Maroon.
we perform hyperpop on guitar.
We
Something
perform
that she
Everything
loves
Has
to do.
Changed.
No, we do not perform Everything Has Changed. Or do you love that song? Are you an Everything
It's
Has Changed
Paul
warrior?
painted blue.
I was just trying to think of a really random Taylor duet. And
Oh,
that's what I came up with.
I don't want Ed Sheeran
Oh,
energy present.
well, it's only girlies on the tour, so
That's true.
Right, right.
wow.
All right.
On that
Is
note,
it time?
I think so. I think it's time for us to get into our album of the week, which is my week this week. So I'm really excited for us to get into this. And yeah, this is an artist that we talked a little bit about last week because she was an impersonation on Halsey's The Great Impersonator album. And this is definitely one of my favorites of hers. I listened to it last year for the first time because it was on the Rolling Stone top 500 albums of all time list. And then I just ended up getting really into her as an artist and just started going back and listening to some of her older work and just
so to
Someone else
confirm,
is on
Maria,
someone else is on the album too that may have persuaded you to like maybe want to listen to it.
well, right. And I'm gonna get into that too. So rest
I
assured.
just want to confirm for the lore.
Yes.
This was your first time listening to her, this album. This was your introduction to her.
Gosh,
We're
now I
asking
feel
you every question.
yeah, please. Well, okay. So before I answer that, I'm just gonna say that we're doing PJ Harvey's Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea from 2000. But now that you asked me that, I actually am having a hard time recalling because it was either this I listened to first or Rid of Me that I listened to first. And now I kind of can't really remember. But maybe for the sake of giving an answer, let's just say this is the one I listened to first
I feel like
because
the
it probably
narrative is
was.
better. The narrative is better for the podcast if this is the first one.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if I need to rewrite history, we can just do it. But this is the first album that I listened to by PJ Harvey.
this actually is the first album Maria ever listened to.
Yes,
Period.
this is my intro to music as an art form.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. So let's start to get into it. And I think with PJ Harvey being such an icon in pop culture and music as a whole, I'll kind of get into like some specifics about her specifically as a person and then a little bit more about the album. But I wanted to say too, a lot of my information I'm getting from Wikipedia, but there's also this YouTube channel online called Trash Theory that has like really cool, concise video essays. I don't know why it's called Trash Theory, like because they make really great content, but they have a really cool kind of it's like a 15-minute video essay on PJ Harvey that I really love. It focuses more on the album Rid of Me, but I think as a piece of work, it's very cool and very educational about her as a person. But getting into it, PJ Harvey is an English singer-songwriter, and initially the like PJ Harvey as an artist, the first two albums of hers are actually technically the PJ Harvey trio because she was originally like part of a band. So the first two albums are as the PJ Harvey trio, and then afterwards she became a solo artist after they disbanded in 1993. And much of her work before this album lived in a space that I think most of us would consider as like traditional rock and roll. It's a lot grittier, more abrasive, intense, unsettling, aggressive. And she's quoted, and I know that video essay uses this quote as well, but she was quoted as like enjoying creating music that had like a very unsettling and uncomfortable feeling and found, like a sense of enjoyment from like singing and speaking about things that are like embarrassing or made people feel some kind of discomfort. So that kind of sentiment is very, very much present on all of her work before this album. So definitely wanted to preface that. Like the song Kamikaze, for example, on this album is the one that sounds most similar to her work before this album. So for context. Um, so yeah, but I think she is just such a super cool person. And yeah, everything like I really enjoy listening to her music before this one too, but I think this album's my favorite. But yeah, just super cool. But this album specifically, Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea, is the fifth studio album by PJ Harvey and was released on October 23rd, 2000. She earned two Grammy nominations for this album for Best Rock Album and Best Female Rock Performance for This Is Love on this album. Something I wanted to mention too, which is quite interesting, in just regards to like the accolades for this album, that she was nominated for the 2001 Mercury Award for this album, which she won, and the award ceremony was actually on September 11th, 2001, and she was in Washington D.C. for this ceremony and actually witnessed the attacks on the Pentagon from her hotel room window the day she won this award for this album, which is so crazy. And she accepted the award over the phone and kind of just had a sentiment of like, this was such a surreal day. All I can say is thank you and all of that. So crazy. It made her the first female solo artist to win the award, and she's also the only person in history to win this award twice, which is super cool. So wanted to point that out, but I just think that's a crazy nugget of history
Well,
surrounding this album.
it's also crazy because this is a New York album.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
What must that feel like to get like I mean the Mercury Prize like obviously it's a British award so like obviously like maybe like it doesn't have the same kind of like pull in America but like that is such a prestigious honor to be
Yeah.
given and like that's like a career highlight and what would that feel like to get that on the day of like such tragedy,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
that just I just couldn't even imagine what that feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. So wild. Something with that too, like Levi, like you mentioned, that this is like a very New York album. It obviously feels very, very New York. I know she was also quoted of kind of insisting that it wasn't a quote New York album. Most of the songs though were written in New York. Some of them were written elsewhere, which I think kind of gives a good purpose to the title. City, the sea. But yeah, obviously, I mean, listening to it on the surface too, very New York, and quite a few songs also name drop like random things and places in New York. So very much feels like that. This album also has an 88 on Metacritic, and specifically something I want to note, I guess to piggyback off of our Pitchfork hate train from last week, is that when this album came out, Pitchfork gave it a 5.4, which is pretty wild in comparison
Don't read the Pitchfork review ever.
don't if you want to get mad, read it. If you want to stay sane, don't read it. But in 2021, Pitchfork rescored it and gave it an 8.4, which
Oh,
I
really?
yeah.
I read the review for the 5 point whatever one, and I was like, she got the same treatment that Hosier gets now. Like it was just comparing her like her this
Well,
album to all of her other stuff.
what's interesting too is I think like it's important to think about the context with which that was written and like this was before pop music and I'm not saying this is obviously not a pop album but like this is before like mainstream music was seen as something that like could be critically like good and there was
Yeah.
so much importance placed on like authenticity or what is perceived as authenticity and so like I think that this step in a less intense rock sound from her previous works, like Maria mentioned, like for a publication that is so snobby and pretentious like Pitchfork and like enjoys kind of being like the tastemakers and the deciders of what's cool and like what's especially back then like what is indie music, what's not indie music, like it makes sense that like they would take this opportunity to do this. And also like they do have a history, especially like back then, like the 2000s era, Pitchfork was at its most intense of doing this to women. Like they famously
Yeah.
gave Liz Phair, who did the exact same. Liz Phair made a kind of like a mainstream pop album, and they gave it a 0,
Yep.
which they also rescore in that
Yeah. Yeah,
article
they
that
give
Maria
it
was
like a
talking about.
6.4 or something, right? I could be
Yeah, it
wrong.
was something like that.
Yeah.
It's actually
Which
a
is
really
like,
interesting
okay, 0.
article. Like they gave Born to Die by Lana Del Rey originally like a 5 something, and then they rescore it to like something in the sevens, which is like that album is one of the most influential albums on music of the last 15 years. Like alt pop does not sound the same if Born to Die doesn't come out. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. It's a kind of an interesting study on like a gut reaction in the moment and like in that context versus some the longevity of a piece and how something evolves over time.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like I feel like I kind of have conflicting feelings on it because then it's like even like regardless of the score that they gave something when it came out, then they kind of get to like retrospectively look back and be like, well, yeah, we still have like the correct opinion on this album. Like, I don't know. It seems like partially in a way kind of self-serving to give things
Oh, it
like
is.
rescored scores. I don't know.
Consequence of Sound did a similar thing
So,
a few years ago. I don't know if you guys saw that. They did a similar thing and they rescored it was like I think like all times that we got it wrong and they talked about Reputation, which they famously in the Swiftie community, they gave it a D plus, which translated to a
oh,
33 on Metacritic and like tanked the Metacritic score. And it's just not that's not a 33 album. Reputation is not a 33 album. And like of course that album was released in the context of like it being popular to like dismiss and hate on Taylor. But it's just it is interesting. It's kind of like publications trying to like have their cake and eat it too.
right. Exactly. Yeah. Like I think I mean on the other side, I think it's cool to provide more of a like retrospective context into like, oh, well, like this is the world that like or rather the journalistic world that this album was released in. So here's some context as to why it was probably reviewed like that or whatever. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I think it provides like both a historical context, but then also like, hey, like by the way, whatever we think about this is still correct. It's like, well, okay, whatever.
It's
Um,
yeah, it's
so
like reinforcing that thing of they're the tastemakers. They're the people that decide what is good or not. And it's so stupid. Like they make me mad so often, but every single time an album comes out that I care about, I am waiting for Pitchfork to drop the review, even
yeah,
if I know it's going to make me mad.
yep. Yeah, it's such a crazy relationship. I feel the same. Obviously, especially with Hosier, because it's like I know they're gonna give him a bad score, but I'm like, what's it gonna be? I need to know. Whatever.
The sad thing
So,
too about that is because the scoring system is separate from the review system, and like
right.
the score is like a collective group. It's like I don't know if it's like all staff, but it's the average of all of a group of scores. And then somebody gets assigned the review. And so a lot of times you can like notice there's like a disconnect between the review and the score. Like sometimes the score could be lower, but the review reads as a lot higher, and like the inverse happens. And it's just interesting because I think the quality of writing normally for Pitchfork is incredible, and it kind of sucks that a lot of like that work can get lost in like the emotional reaction of like the craziness of the scores. I do not think
Hmm.
that Great Impersonator review is a good piece of writing. I have words for you still, Mr.
For the
Shad.
record.
Yeah,
For the record.
but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, cool. So, just a couple other notes on this album specifically. Like I mentioned before, a lot of PJ Harvey's work before was like very intense rock or like very eerie, unsettling kind of ambient rock kind of which I also love all of that. But this was more of her first venture into what would be considered as more of a mainstream, palatable kind of indie rock sound, which makes sense because it's like if you think about the album or the work that she was making before, could have been, you know, a little bit alienating for people that were used to the work that she had made before, which also feeds into like the score that Pitchfork had given it at the time, for example. So a little bit alienating. I think that makes sense for sure. But yeah, feels very New York, which is super cool. Even though it's like we don't live in New York, I still get kind of a buzz from like listening to it while living in a city. I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. So I love that. And what Drew had mentioned before, the album features a duet with the frontman of Radiohead, Tom York, which I listened to this album also while I was having like a big Radiohead moment. Because last year I listened to like all of their albums, most of which for the first time, and they kind of just skyrocketed as like one of my favorite bands because I think a lot of their music is really cool. And I had just a really fun time last year, like going into like an artist with such a like a full career and multiple albums spanning multiple different genres, and just had a really cool time like delving deep into that rabbit hole of like, wow, like this is a band that it has such like a place in pop culture globally. So I just had a really cool time like going into that. And I would definitely say that like knowing that Tom York had a feature on this album and some other, you know, like background vocals on a couple different songs, you know, that definitely also helped me with wanting to listen to it too. Um, so yeah, I thought that was super cool. Her and Tom York met in 1992 and they had stayed in contact, which I think is, you know, explains some of his presence on the album. And something about this, because the song that he's featured on specifically for lead vocals is This Mess We're In, most of which is sung by him, which I think is pretty neat because I think it's a rare kind of duet where the featured artist sings almost the entirety of the song. So she had said, quote, I'd long been interested in the idea of somebody else singing a whole song on a record of mine, to have a very different dimension brought in by somebody else's voice. It adds so much dynamic within the record to have this other character coming in, end quote. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. It comes in a place where it's like at that album or by that place in the album, you've like heard some male vocals in the background, but then it's very like, oh, there's an entirely new character in here that we're hearing from, which is kind of cool. And just something else in general too, this album, like something that PJ Harvey had said about this specifically, she wanted to create something more melodic, fuller, something prettier, because again, a lot of her music before this is pretty aggressive and abrasive at times. So I just think that's a cool thing to note. But yeah, that's some of my background on this, but I think it very much feels like an indie rock album from 2000. Meanwhile, it's also kind of very easy listening. Like I don't think it ventures too far into like heavier rock, you know. But yeah, I think it's a cool kind of inverse of maybe what we would be familiar of like a Nora Jones kind of, you know, something that's lighter, easier listening. But this I think is kind of like the B side to that, where it still has like a grittier kind of underbelly to it, and the vocals on it aren't as like pristine perfect. But I think it's not to like directly compare to Nora Jones specifically, but I think it has that kind of early 2000s kind of quality to it. So which I love. But yeah, that was just kind of some of my background there. But I would love to hear what you guys thought. Who wants to go first?
Pick your poison, girl.
Yeah, you get a pick.
Okay, let's have Drew go.
Okay. Um, so I had never heard of PJ Harvey before this. I thought that she was a man until like
My mom did
after.
too. When I told her that we
Yeah.
were doing this, she was like, "What album are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea by PJ Harvey." And she goes, "Oh, another man."
Yeah, and so like the whole time you were like debating on whether to do this or to like maybe venture off into another album, I'm like, Maria, just choose like a girl. And then
Just
I
do
was
a
like, oh
woman.
wait, oh wait. So yeah, never had heard of her before. And even like going to discover, this album, I was kind of seeing if I'd known any of her other things or like if there was a song that I had known and just didn't realize that I knew her, and there wasn't. So very much first impressions for her. But I like loved this. Like it was amazing.
Yes.
Um yeah, I was, and I'm, to be completely honest, I went in expecting it to be a little different than what I actually got. Like I was kind of expecting, because city albums feel very like the Blessed Unrest, for example, is very much like a New York album to me. And I was kind of
Yeah.
expecting it to be something like similar in production to that. Kind of singer-songwritery, but like um I don't know. It just, I felt like it would be something more similar to that, and this album is nothing close to that. Um, but in a good way. Like it was very good. Yeah, I love how like, because this album was obviously made long before any of like the recent kind of alternative rock, women that I listen to now. But it's so cool because I hear so much in influence in like a lot of the, like I get a, like all of the Boy Genius girls, I get a lot of PJ Harvey from that. Um yeah, like even like I was texting Levi when I was listening to it. Her lyrics also give me a lot of Fiona Apple, like just the lyrics, not as much like the production or the vocals. But yeah, it was cool to listen to something after the fact, but then realizing how much influence she probably had on all of, I mean, even Halsey. I feel like Halsey is very obviously influenced by PJ Harvey. So
Drew,
that
can I
was
add
really
something
cool.
too? Because I
Yeah.
felt the exact same way. And for me, it was Mitski. I
Oh
love
yeah,
Mitski,
yeah.
and I hear so much Mitski
Very much, yeah.
in the way that the
Yeah.
melody sits, and in her even kind of the vocal delivery in the lyrics. Like it was kind of astounding to me. I was like, oh my God, like it's really cool to hear the influence of an artist that I love so much and like see the connection. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
and I
sorry,
loved it.
just wanted to add.
Yeah, no. And to be honest, like um I love how it kind of gave me something completely different than I expected, because I think like I think something that's hard being like a city album, like a walking through the city kind of album, is you kind of have that expectation of what to expect. And this to me does not feel like that at all. Like I don't think I would ever listen to this like walking around like the city or something like that. But I don't know, just something that I thought was kind of cool. I was like listening to it, there obviously is that influence in the songwriting about the cities, but I was like, I don't think I would listen to this like walking through. I don't know what I would listen to it at or where. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was really interesting how it kind of has that disguise of a city album, but I don't know if I fully think that it is one. Um, and maybe that was just the vibe of what people would listen to in the city when it came out. Or obviously, Maria, you have that vibe, but yeah, just something that I
That's
thought.
interesting to me.
But
Yeah.
I would so walk around to this album.
oh, really?
Yeah, this
Maybe
album
it's
is a
just a me
very
thing.
yeah. What would you consider like walking around? Like what's that vibe? Like
Like,
something that you were like beat driven?
yeah, like a New York vibe. Like I'm thinking 1989. I'm thinking like Blessed Unrest. I'm thinking, um, I mean, really those two, like that are New York albums that I like picture walking through New York listening to.
I mean, I feel
And
like
this
this
doesn't
to,
have the same vibe as that at all.
Yeah.
I know, but to me this captures like a different quality of like being in a big
Yeah.
city. You know, it's like this like it's like I don't know. To me it's very autumnal. I didn't know that it came out in October. And like I can totally see walking around like a big park like Central Park with like it like turning like dusk with like leaves everywhere. I can
Oh.
totally see that in my mind. Like that,
Oh,
like those guitars to me sound very like walking, and there's like an autumn chill, and you're like looking
Hmm.
up at the sky and you're thinking about life. That's very
Like I
that to
think
me.
this feels very metropolitan, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it just has that kind of vibe. And I think it's for me at least, it's very much like met with in my brain by the cover where it's like bright lights, like the car that's kind of behind her, it's like moving. Like it just feels like that the songs have a sort of um a metropolitan kind of motion to
Yeah.
them,
I
you
was gonna
know?
say, like, I think I would listen to it like a night to myself. Like if I were
Yeah.
going to dinner by myself and then like maybe going to like a show or something and then like in the Uber home. Like I think that would be like when I would listen to it.
Yeah.
It
So
Which
also
you
has
do
not
like
have the
directly city,
opportunity to
but
do. You have the opportunity to do this next week, by the way.
wait, oh, for New York, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
it also
Um,
like to me it feels very much like a rooftop album. And I know that like that's kind
oh
of
yeah,
referenced
I also
in
see
You Said
that.
Something, but like can you imagine like the sky's getting dark and like maybe like you have like some like fold chairs and like a beer or like a glass of wine or like a mixer, like a Coke or something, and you're with someone and you're like chatting, looking up at the stars and like listening to this in the background. That feels very much that vibe.
Yeah.
So I get what you mean about it not being like the kind of I think I
It's
would walk
not
around to
hustle
this,
and
but
bustle to me.
it's not hustle and but I understand that. I understand
It's
that.
not
But it
super
does feel
commute.
Yeah.
it's not commute. It's not commute.
Yeah.
It's stroll.
That's
It's not
that's
commute.
mainly what I meant. Yeah.
But
Like
yes,
I'm not listening to this shopping down Fifth Avenue, you know? Like I'm listening to it like a little depressy, going to dinner, going to a concert by myself internally.
Yeah,
So
I get
yeah.
that.
Anyway, but no, I was really impressed by this. I loved I think almost every track I like really liked. And there were only just like a couple of moments. It definitely feels like an album with like two halves. Like I feel like the first half is um let me see. I feel like Big Exit to Beautiful Feeling feels like one half, and then like the Horse Hustle to the end feel like a different half. I don't know if that's the vibe that y'all were getting,
that's so
but
fair because that's probably where side A and side B split.
oh,
Oh, and like
interesting.
Like on
vinyl.
a vinyl record, probably. I'm not sure 100%, but like probably.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't really know much. Those were kind of the main things that I was kind of thinking, like and reflecting. I definitely will come back to this. I think it's also an album that like having listened to it a bunch of times, there's definitely probably more to say. Um, yeah. I love how you mentioned Mitski, Levi, because
Isn't it
um
so Mitski?
now I like now that really
Totally.
clicks. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I get what you mean. I understand the connection between Fiona Apple and this. I don't think I would make that connection, but I also think it's probably just because I am probably like have listened to more Fiona Apple than you, and I can like the differences pop out more to me. But like I get lyrically where you're coming from there. But the Mitski one was just so apparent. I can like hear
Yeah.
Mitski singing all of these songs.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love Mitski to make an album like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also I love the cover.
The cover's so good. Wait, that's a win because Drew famously almost hates almost all the covers that we do in this album on this episode, this show. You hated the
Actually
great
true.
you hated the great impersonator. You hated
Short and sweet.
short and sweet. You hated blessed and rest.
I
What
didn't hate Short and Sweet as much, but I
as
didn't like
me?
it.
As
Yeah.
Luba.
Like I don't mean to be the cover hater in Pop Girlies.
Wait, I can't remember. Drew, do you like the Hosier self-titled cover? I can't remember if you
Yeah,
said
yeah,
anything
I
about
like
it.
that one. That one's fine.
Okay. Yeah,
Ray of
it's
Light.
fine.
Do you like the Ray of Light
Yeah,
cover?
yeah, I
Yeah,
like that one.
perfect cover. Brat, you've kind of established your feelings. They're like mixed on Brat, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I hate any album that we bring, hate the cover.
It's just I
Always.
value your opinion on covers because I know that's a big
Right.
thing for you. I value
Drew
it.
Yes.
will Drew's gonna hate every album cover until we get to Teenage Dream.
Yeah, true.
The
That's the
best album
only
cover all time.
that oh well yeah, that's obviously your pick. What would your pick, Maria, be? Just real quick tangent, if you know off the top of your head.
Best album cover of all time?
Yeah, why did you open that can of worms, girl?
I don't think I have an answer right now. I would have to think about
Okay.
it for a while.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was maybe
Do you
stupid
have
of
an
me.
answer?
I mean, gun to my head, I would say Ray of Light.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, that makes sense.
Maria, just say Chromatica.
I need a sine curve in order for it to be the best album of all time. Best album cover of all time.
No, yeah,
Okay.
I think that's all that I have to say. But I really liked it.
Well,
I'm
oh,
excited
well,
to
I'm
give
so
like my
glad.
top three.
Yeah. Eee. Well, Levi,
Okay,
I would love to
my
hear your
turn.
thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm also super excited to talk about this album. Okay, so since this was well, first let me just say I had never listened to PJ Harvey before, but I have been aware of PJ Harvey for a while. I actually think the first time I ever learned who PJ Harvey was when I was like a kid or like a, young teenager and like I loved a Wikipedia rabbit hole and I think I like when I discovered what the Mercury Prize was, I think that's when I discovered who PJ Harvey was, that like she's the only person to ever have won it twice. And just as like I've kind of similar to Maria, I've looked at, best albums of all time lists or like best songs of all time or best albums of the 90s, like stuff like that. Like PJ Harvey is a name that keeps popping up. I know that like she's had so much influence on rock music and alternative music. And I know that like she's looked at as a very important like woman in music specifically and like such a male dominated industry. But I just never listened to her before. I think I'd been a bit intimidated because I obviously love like alternative music. I love a lot of like alt rock, but like actual like rock can sometimes scare me. And I knew that a lot of her music was kind of harsh and like aggressive. And that was a bit intimidating for me. And I think that's like why I probably never on like, just a random day when I wanted something to listen to, I never like tapped into a PJ Harvey album and turned it on. But
I have a
I
quick
was
question. Does she still make music?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I was gonna say, speaking of Mitski, because she released an album last year that's called I Inside the Old Year Dying. And I feel like that sounds like a lot of the more kind of ambient, low-key Mitski songs. So like I think
mm,
like Levi
Oh, okay.
specifically, you might like that one a whole lot. But
Well, I was gonna
the
ask because
yeah.
yeah, I was just wondering. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was wondering when you leave. I was saying, I was like, wait, is is she like she's still
Yeah.
kicking? Okay.
Yeah. She was like in Chicago actually kind of recently for
Oh,
a
right.
concert.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But
Sorry. I
she
didn't
yeah.
mean to interrupt.
she had a huge because I think her last album before the one that was released in 2023 was like 2016. Is that correct, Maria?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't
Um,
want to like. I was like, wait, is she like dead? And
yeah.
should I? Okay. Okay.
Did I
But
make it
yes,
seem
Levi,
like she
you're
was
right.
dead?
Her last album before that was
No,
2016.
but you were just talking about like her impact and like how much of an impact she had. She like had all these prizes. I was like, wait, like is this like
No.
I didn't know. You weren't making it sound like she was dead.
Watch PJ Harvey die in like the week before this episode comes
Stop.
out, and then
You have
wait,
to
actually, if
stop.
that happens, and then people listen to this, that would be so bad. PJ Harvey, you're live. You're gonna be alive.
I'm gonna say it right now, PJ Harvey, live forever, girl.
Never
You're
die.
immortal, mama.
Never die.
Oh God. Oh my God. Did I just kill PJ Harvey?
Let's
You're
hope
like
none
the
of us are
guy on Drag Race who
Nostradamus.
killed Judy Garland.
Yeah, I'm like that the vet who killed Judy Garland. Anyways, yeah, I had never listened to it before. So I was excited when Maria picked this because this specifically is a PJ Harvey album I've been told I would really like. And like I know that this is like kind of seen as like a lot of people consider this her best work and it's considered one of her more major works. Um, I was a bit nervous because I did do a little like random because we've known that this album's coming for a while, the three of us. And I didn't want to listen to it in full until we got closer to the episode. So, but I had done like a few just like curious, like tapping on tracks. And I was a little scared of what I heard just because I was like, oh, like I don't know if this is going to be for me. And I was smoking something because, oh my God, I was so floored by this. This was just a truly incredible body of work from start to finish. Um, since I didn't know this album at all, and there was no familiarity with any of the songs, I like wrote down like pretty intense notes on each song, kind of like stream of consciousness, train of thought type of thing. And I followed the suit of my favorite YouTube reactor, AJ, and I marked down my favorites, but I put a goddamn little mark next to all the ones that were my faves. And almost every song has a goddamn little mark. It is
Slay.
a beautiful album. So immediately what struck me was the sound of the guitars. You know, when I guess my idea of her was like the guitars would be a lot harsher, and I guess it kind of sounds like maybe her previous albums had that vibe, but there's this
Totally.
there's this lovely autumnal warmth to these guitars. And they're so inviting, even when they get louder. The quality of the electric guitar I thought was just really beautiful. And then the other most immediate thing was it was so much more melodic than what I thought it was going to be. The melodies were beautiful. And like immediately, I was kind of like, wait, like and Exit, the opening track, I was like, wait, is like this melody like really good? And then we go into Good Fortune, and I was like, okay, yeah, so this melody is also fucking amazing. Um, it just was like such a surprise to me. I really wasn't expecting to be kind of swept up in these melodies the way that I was. I wasn't expecting the choruses to soar, and I felt like they soared sometimes. Uh, Also, like the lyrics were beautiful. I knew that the lyrics would be wonderful. She has this like she nothing is overwritten here, but there's also so much depth and feeling and complexity to everything that she's saying. These songs are so deep, but nothing is like they're not like, you know, crammed full of words in a way that ever feels excessive. There were just a few like turns of phrase that I really loved. I on Beautiful Feeling, I loved the line, I feel life meet my eyes. I thought that was so gorgeous. The lyrics of Horses in My Dreams, those were big for me. I loved the approach that she took on You Said Something. Um, and I actually think that it captures something about this album that I found really entrancing. Entrancing was a word I wrote down a lot. This album to me has a bit of a like an unknowable quality. Like there's an element to it when you're listening and you're kind of getting lost in it that like you're kind of always reaching for, and it's almost like always out of grasp. And so then you keep following it. And the song You Said Something kind of exemplifies this because each verse is about this thing that this person said, and we know that it had this huge impact on the narrator, but we never know what the person said. We never know what the person said, and we never know if it was positive or negative. Like you
Mhm.
can make assumptions. I mean, there is this like kind of romantic air to the song, but it also has this bittersweet feeling. So like it could be a bad thing or it could be a good thing. And to me, that was representative of kind of the way that I felt about the entire record. Um, it's this really lovely, hazy, magical sense of melancholy that I was just so incredibly into. And I also want to say, I thought her voice was incredible. Girl,
No, her
yeah,
voice is so good.
she sounds amazing. And there's her voice is like really versatile because it can carry those like louder kind of wails on like some of the rockier songs, but then there's this softness to it too that she can bring out that I found really beautiful. Like oh my God, some of my notes on the Whore's Hustle and the Hustler's Whore. I like towards the end, she like really starts like wailing, and my note was, "Oh, she's going high. Wail it out, PJ." And that's how I feel. She was wailing it the fuck out. Um, and
Yeah.
it
There's
was
some
insane.
songs on some of her other work where she just like is fully screaming, like full on
That's so
screaming. So it's
crazy.
like she
I
can do
wonder
it
if
all.
she's good live.
I bet she's amazing live. I know like a lot of her music now is like a little bit more subdued in comparison to some of this older stuff. And I'm not sure how much of her older work she does live, but yeah, I'm not super sure.
But
But yeah.
yeah, I I really love this album. I am excited for this to become an album that I listen to all the time. And I hope that this can be a gateway into PJ Harvey because again, she's one of those artists that like I've always wanted to get into. And it's almost like it's so fun getting into an artist that has such a huge discography, but it can also kind of be a bit intimidating because like you like don't really know where to start. And I think
It's like starting Desperate Housewives.
it well no, but you start with season one.
But girl, there's 8 of them.
Well,
But don't you start a show from season
but you
one?
start a show from season one.
No, it's just like
Did you
it's a
just want to
lot.
talk about Desperate Housewives?
No,
Because
no. I started it like last week and I'm like, I don't think I can get into this anymore because
I
I
mean,
don't think I can watch 8 seasons of it.
I get what you mean about the length, but I guess what I'm talking about is like I don't know like the place to start.
Got it.
And
Sure.
I don't think you'd start this. Imagine you started with like season five, episode seven.
Right.
Is that what you did?
No.
Uh,
No.
but like I think that this was the perfect entry point for me because this is so much in line. Like if this album came out today, this is I would be so into it and I would like immediately listen to it. It's so much in line with the kind of music that I love. So I think that's kind of all the things that I want to say now. I definitely have more to say about individual tracks when we get to Holy Trinity and Me. Um, and I guess if something pops up before, I'll say it. But yeah, loved it. Um, it was just it was really, really great.
Yeah. Love. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad both of you guys enjoy listening to this because I love this album so much.
Watch us
Um,
have higher scores than Maria.
I know Maria's such a tough grader. Maria's gonna be like, yeah, this album's so incredible. It's literally one of the most
6.
amazing in my life. I'm gonna give it like a solid 7.5.
well, trust, I'm gonna give this a pretty good score.
Oh,
So,
oh,
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 if you can
also
believe.
well no. Oh, well, I guess they'll see the photo on Instagram if they are following us on Instagram. But it reminds me a lot of Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen that Lindsay Lohan is in. It's my favorite
which
Lindsay Lohan
drew
movie. One of my favorite Lindsay Lohan movie. Well, it is my favorite, but it's one of my favorite movies from childhood. And it kind of has that vibe to me, at least.
and a big part of that movie is New York.
Right. Yes.
Wait, what were we talking about a couple weeks ago where you mentioned Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen?
He does it a lot. I don't know.
You mentioned
It
it once
comes up a
before and I
lot.
can't remember why.
You also like that's like a comparison that you use in music a lot. Like I feel like that's just something that you've said multiple times about albums. Like, yeah, this gives me Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. That's how I know that you love something because I know the way that you feel about Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
I don't know. I don't know how we would have talked about it, but
We definitely have talked about it, I think, on the show.
100%.
well, cool. The Pop Girlies fan account can find it.
Right. I'm trying to think because I think it was maybe on the Hosier episode, so maybe it was when we were talking about Aquamarine. I don't know. Maybe not.
You know what I probably said? Because that song, Aquamarine, reminds me of the scene in Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen when they're in the arcade, when they're doing the dance battle.
Well, that doesn't sound familiar to me.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. Yeah, we'll leave it to the Pop Girlies Stan Twitter
We need to
accounts
have
to
like a
figure out
Pop
why.
Girlies like watch party of Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
Pop Girlies AI.
Pop Girlies AI.
So we can look up where I said it.
No, I don't believe in AI. I don't think it's ethical.
Oh, well,
Girl, it's
true.
melting
Yeah.
the ice caps. Fuck the polar bears.
Right. So
Drew,
no Pop Girlies AI.
no Pop Girlies
No, none of
AI.
that.
If you
No.
want to make your own AI, you could have a Drew Fork AI.
Right. No, it's fine.
It's fine. Well, okay. So, my thoughts on the album. Well, honestly, and you both of you guys have kind of exemplified a lot of what I already want to say about it. All of the good things. But I love this album so much. And again, I listened to it first last year because it was on the Rolling Stone list. And I also listened to it kind of coming off of my roommates and I watching Peaky Blinders because so much of her music is featured in the show. And the only song from this album that's in the show is This Is Love. But yeah, I thought it was really cool to be more so introduced to her music in a like in more of like a cinematic context, if you will. Like it's being used in a different piece of work because a lot of her music's in the show. So I just thought that was really interesting to be like, oh, well, I like the aesthetic landscape that this music is being used within. That kind of opened the door for me, if you will. So that I kind of found really cool. But yeah, I love this album so much. Honestly, this is one of the hardest song sorters I've like ever had to do. And it's like I got my results, but I'm like, I don't even know. It was really hard. It was really hard. A lot of these songs are just so incredible. But again, yeah, it feels very metropolitan. I just love, and like you said, Levi, like that kind of autumnal quality to it. I really like how a lot of this feels unfiltered. Like obviously this music's produced really well, but it still has that kind of raw quality that a lot of her work does.
Raw
So
is
it
a
just
really
kind of,
good word for it. Raw is a really,
yeah.
really good word for it.
So yeah, it has like a raw kind of like fuzziness to it. Like I know someone made mention of like the how the guitars sound on this album. It kind of has a fuzzy kind of feedbacky kind of quality to it. So yeah, it just makes it like you said, Levi, I think feel really warm. So
You know
that
what
I
she should
really love.
do?
Hmm.
Like do like the Vivo thing like that everyone's doing now with like the live. Well, I mean, I guess it's not a way to promote the album because the album came out like 20 years ago, but like she should do that
Yeah, it
because
doesn't
the guitar sounds so fucking good.
It sounds so good.
yeah. Or I think I'm thinking of the aren't there Apple Music ones? What's the one that Ethel did? That Ethel Cain did
I don't
with the
remember
fancy
that one.
lighting. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
talking
what
about?
is that? I think that's a YouTube thing. I think it was
Oh, maybe it's
YouTube.
like YouTube Music. Yeah, I think you're right.
She could, you know what else she could do? That I know the Killers do this now, but like she should do like a concert where she just performs this album front to back. Like I know the Killers do that now with like their albums.
That would be really cool. Also,
Yeah.
speaking of which,
In New York.
My Chemical Romance is touring front to back the Black Parade, and I
Is
actually
that
got tickets for it.
Wait, is that the same sort of thing, like where they're doing an album front to back?
I'm pretty sure they're doing the Black Parade front to
Yeah,
back
like she
because it's
should do that.
yeah. But like one of my roommates fought the Ticketmaster war to get us tickets, and we actually got them, and it's at Soldier Field, and none of us have ever seen My Chemical Romance before, and like we grew up listening to My Chemical Romance, so I just wanted to mention that. I'm like super geeked
That's
about it.
tea.
It's tea. So yeah, but yeah, and I did want to say too, like especially with PJ Harvey being such a prominent, you know, women representative in rock music, again in a space that's very male dominated. It is kind of a bummer, at least to me, on like the Spotify front, at least that her most popular song is the one that features Tom York, and it's like isn't even like scratch the surface level of like the best of her music. So I'm like, ugh, whatever. But but yeah. So as far as like the lyricism goes, I think again, like Levi, you mentioned a lot of what makes it really intriguing. And I know I mentioned this on the Hosier episode, but I really love songs that feel like stories or like storybook entries, or just like a window into someone's real life. So I really love that quality about it. But honestly, like there's some songs that aren't my favorite. Like I don't, there's some where it's like, this isn't my ultimate favorite, but obviously it's on this album, so I love it. But I think this is a prime example of one of the best no skips albums like ever. Like there is not a skip on this album, in my opinion. I think it's a really, really great front to back kind of piece. And I would love to have this on vinyl because that's kind of my like litmus test for if I'm going to get something on vinyl is like is there something that I would constantly want to skip on it? Thus, is it worth me spending money on it to have it as a piece of my like physical media collection? But I'm like, oh my God, this would be such a cool thing to have as a vinyl record because no skips. Perfect.
This
So
album, like if someone famous like said something about this or like I don't know, I feel like it would have such a resurgence. Like I don't know, I feel like Stan Twitter would go
Well, I
crazy
am
for
here to
this.
announce that Taylor's going to bring out PJ Harvey at the last day of the
Yeah,
Eras tour.
like she needs to do something like that needs to happen.
And they're going to sing
Or
the
like
Horse
I hate to
Hustle
say
and the
like
Hustler's Whore.
TikTok, but like I hate to be like, oh, she could, yeah, but like something needs to happen.
Oh my God, a TikTok dance to Horses in My Dreams.
Or like or they use like kamikaze as like a getting ready, a famous getting ready music for like a night out.
When's the PJ night at Scarlet? Question mark.
Bryce, when is it?
TikTok dance to horses in my dreams is so crazy.
Should I come
I'm
up
not
with
over
one?
that. Please. If not you, who?
Who? That's true.
Oh my God, that's so
The end of
funny.
2024 montage is till we float.
Okay, that fucks. That's
Yeah,
that's good.
that's really good. Wow. Well, slay. Well, that's what I wanted to say about the album from my perspective. You guys had, touched on a lot of what I think makes the album great. And yeah, I'm so glad we got to listen to this one together, and I'm really glad that you guys liked it. But yeah, I think this is, yeah, like top achievement in music as an art form. It's so good.
Crazy that this wasn't nominated for album of the year.
Yeah, for real. I'm not sure what else was nominated that year. I feel like you guys are more of the Grammy historians in that
I
way.
think it's crazy
So I'm
that
not
this didn't win something. Like, let's talk about craziness. It's
right.
crazy that PJ Harvey doesn't have a Grammy.
That is really crazy.
If
So wait,
this
this would
came
have been
out
the
like
2001
this year
Grammys.
or like any in the past like 5 years,
Totally. No, there's like a lot of like women in alternative music who don't have Grammys. Bjork does not have a Grammy. Bjork's been nominated for Best Alternative Album, I think, like 8 times and has never won.
That's so crazy.
well, should we get into
Also,
the
a Steely Dan album won album of the year in
Oh, that
2001.
was the Steely Dan year.
Yeah, that's so wild.
What else was nominated?
Um, a Beck album, Eminem, Kid A, Radiohead, Paul Simon.
I'm falling asleep.
I mean, if you ask me,
I mean,
Kid A by
three
Radiohead
of those
is clear
albums make
winner.
sense. Like Kid A, the Beck, because what Beck album was it?
Midnight Vultures.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty big album.
Oh, and this is okay. I know one song off this album, but sure. And then record of the year was Beautiful Day by U2, and it was also Song of the Year.
Okay, that is a serve for me. I hate to say it. Uh,
Well, there we go.
do you guys want to hear Levi Lore on Pop Girlies? It's the
Please.
most random thing in the world, but the song, the U2 song With or Without You makes
Yes.
me a level of like feral. Like that song does something to me chemically. I think that is one of the greatest achievements of a human ever.
That
It
song's
makes me
amazing.
weep. That song is so good. And I'm not even like into U2. Like I
Yeah,
think that would be an artist they'd be a band that I think I would actually really enjoy if I like listened more. Um, but I've never done it. But like that song, I mean, weddings,
incredible.
funerals, bar mitzvahs, birthday parties. Like that song is Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Prize, um, fucking Presidential Medal of Freedom. That song is so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Like I've never done like a full dive into U2, but I mean, I
But
know quite a few other songs here and
every
there.
song that I know of U2, I either like or love. I don't know. Think of a
Yeah,
U2 song when I'm like, ugh, you know,
right. Yeah.
like "Beautiful Day" gets playing, and I'm like, fuck yeah, it's a beautiful day. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, do you know what else? What's the song that's in the Devil Wears Prada when they get to Paris? It's the "In
Um,
this city of blinding lights." Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Drew, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Girl,
that's
you
what it's
know
called. It's City of Blinding Lights.
that song's so good. And that's when Anne Hathaway, she's driving around Paris. She's there for the first time. It's
Oh,
nighttime.
right. Yeah.
So good. Okay, that's sorry to derail everything, but I just needed to say my piece.
Oh, well, yes. Well, cool. Well, I think we should get into our Holy Trinity and me's.
Yay. Okay, how do you want to
So
do it?
Drew, do you want to go first? We can go in the same
Yeah,
order.
do I do the me or the Holy Trinity first? Or should I do both of them in the same? What's your
I
preference?
think do the me and then do the Holy Trinity.
But in the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So my me um was just a song that I thought I was like, okay, like it comes after and before like really great strides. And I was like, okay, like this is a little bit like we're reaching equilibrium here. Um and it was beautiful feeling. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, it's good, but like okay, like it's not like one line and it's not like the horse hustle, like on that level of like I'm flying. Um
You're not floating.
I'm not floating. No.
Got it.
Um, so yeah. And then my number three, I like still can't make up my mind, but I need to just make up my mind. Okay, my Holy Trinity, my number three is This Mess We're In. I ate it
Yes.
up. I thought the vocals
So
in it were
good.
insane. That was what really set it over for
It's
me.
crazy.
It's so good. And I hate it because it's like it's the Tom York song, but like it's just so good.
But they
I
also
yeah,
sound great together.
they
Like
really do.
they sound
It gives
amazing.
me like it's like Evermore on Evermore. It's like, oh,
Yeah, that's
I
a
also
great
think it's really
comparison.
cool too that Tom York's vocals are featured in I think one line. And so it's like we've already gotten
And
a
beautiful
morsel.
feeling, I think, right?
Yeah, and beautiful feeling. So I think it's cool that before This Mess We're In appears on the album, you've already gotten like a morsel of what their voices sound like together. So when it's in the full duet, you're like, yes, this feels very natural that we could
well,
have
and I
gotten to
think
this
another thing
place.
about Beautiful Feeling is like listening to it on Spotify kind of gives you a weird expectation because it lists them both as artists of the song. So I was expecting Beautiful Feeling to be
Oh,
more of a duet.
interesting.
Um, and it's not
Hmm.
like he just is doing backing vocals. Because like when I was looking at it before I listened to it, I was like, oh, there's two Tom York songs on here, but it really This Mess We're In is like the one girl.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so that's my number three. But obviously there are so many other ones that I'm not gonna mention because we only mentioned three. But my number two is The Horse Hustle and The Hustler's Whore.
Bro, you lived for the horse hustle and the hustler's
You
whore.
are,
Need I
yeah,
say less? Need I say less?
That needs to
I
be your
mean,
Instagram
that
bio.
I mean, like, I don't, there's nothing more to say. It's insane.
insane. It's so good.
Oh, okay. And then my number one, literally flying in the air. I'm an alien. Girl, kamikaze,
This is
living.
crazy. I would not have predicted for you to gravitate towards the more rock songs on this album.
Oh, oh, I lived, girl.
I'm living
I
for
was
that.
looking out my window and Wrigley Field was there. I'm like, I am over Wrigley Field right now, looking down at these hoes. Like I was living for kamikaze, right? I was living, and I was listening to it like in my over-ear headphones, so I was like noise canceled out.
Whoa.
Girl, it was so good.
That's awesome. I am so glad
Yeah.
that you
It
liked
is so
those songs.
interesting. I would have never pegged that you would be into the rock, the biggest rock moments on this record.
Yeah,
I
No,
never would have
yeah,
guessed
no.
that.
No, yeah, I loved it.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, because I think a lot of like there's a lot of like anticipating for the moments. Like it was kind of the album's paced so well that you're kind of especially after Beautiful Feeling and like the great four-track run at the start, like especially for Horse Hustle, you're kind of like waiting for it to kind of explode a little bit.
Oh, and then that
And
like catharsis
it
is
gets
like,
you. Yeah.
yeah.
And kind
So
of
real.
you said something was kind of at the near the bottom for me as well. Um
Boo! Boo!
but so then after that with Kamikaze, I was like, we're flying
Boo!
over the
Girl,
world, right?
you
Looking
said
down at
something.
everyone below me.
No, ma'am. I can't let you escape with this. You said something had me in tears.
I don't
I
know. Maybe
think
it was just the mood I was in when I was listening to it because I've only really listened to it all of it once. So like obviously coming back to it, maybe my top three would change, but I was ready to ascend.
you're ready to rock.
I was.
You're the greatest line in Freaky Friday when Lindsay Lohan goes,
Are you guys
I
ready to
thought
rock?
no, it's I thought we could play in the key of rock.
Oh
Right.
my God, that is
Yep.
so true. Drew is the
Oh, I
hardcore
was living,
rocker.
girl. I was feeling like I ascend is like the correct word. Like I was
We
over the
float.
world.
We float is about you.
Take life as it
Correct.
comes.
PJ actually wrote We Flow about the Pop Girlies episode that she knew would be coming.
Right. 24. No, we're none of us were born.
Yeah,
No, wait.
What?
yes, we were.
We
All
were
of
all
us were
born.
born, I think, babes.
Right. Cool. Okay.
I was
Embarrassing.
about to turn one, actually. I was like days
Right.
before turning one.
Yeah,
Okay. Embarrassing. Cool.
that's okay. Quick math.
It's okay, babes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Levi, what's your top
Levi.
three and me?
Okay.
Or
So
me is about to be kamikaze and I would be so pissed.
yeah, it's kamikaze.
This is insane.
So I guess I had kind of the moments that maybe Maria and me were thinking Drew would have. I found myself so entranced by this like warm, bittersweet, melancholy, romantic kind of like alt guitar sound that when it got rock, I'm not saying they're bad because they're not. Like they're great songs. They just didn't I felt like I was under a spell with all the other songs and then I got like woken up out of the spell, jolted awake by the intensity. Um and I think that like if I have more because I've listened to the album in full twice and one was like my first listen was an intense listen with the lyrics in front of me, taking notes. And the second one, I wanted to hear how it would sound like casual listening. So I actually listened to this when I was lifting this morning. This was We Float was when I added weights to my squats this morning. We Float helped me get to 120. Thank you, We Float. Uh,
What I need to happen is for like one of those TikTokers to go to your gym where it's like, hey, what are you listening to right now? And everyone's listening
I
to like,
actually think about that all the time. Maria, I actually
yeah,
do think about that all the time because I it's always when I'm listening to the most random shit that I'm like, if somebody came up to me right now and asked me what I was listening to with the activity that I'm doing, I would seem like the craziest person who's ever lived. The shit that I listen
yeah.
to at the gym, like I should be I've listened to Mer Girl on repeat at the gym before.
Oh my God. Like I
Famously
need it to
Drew's
be a
favorite song.
compilation where it's like famously.
Well,
I need a compilation.
what?
What? A
What?
compilation of
Wait,
what?
can oh. Oh, you okay, you paused and I was like, "Oh no, am I still here? I'm here." Okay. Well, I was gonna say is I need a
See,
compilation.
ascending, that's what Maria just did. What I that was me listening to it.
We keep interrupting Maria.
This is it's freaking me out because you guys are interrupting me in a way that it makes me feel like my internet connection is being dropped. So that's why I keep stopping.
Okay, Maria, the floor is yours.
Thanks.
She doesn't want it anymore.
I don't. Okay, it's not even gonna be that funny anymore. What I was gonna say is that I want a compilation of your gym and the other people are listening to the most like hardcore gym rat music, and then it gets to you, and then you're like, "Yeah, I'm listening to We Float by PJ Harvey," or just something crazy.
And
And
like
you know
one other
what?
person in the gym is listening to like Sexy Red.
Oh, that's so funny.
There's like
Um,
two outliers.
but no, like the rock songs. I think they're really good. I think it's more just like they're just a bit jarring for me. Like Drew kind of talked about that like build up and then that big release. And I think for Drew, it like achieved a kind of like catharsis of like energy that was building up. And for me, I like could have I would have been fine just like being lost in the spell forever. Um, and so it like the rest of the album was dreaming, and in those moments, I'm kind of like awake. But I think that they're really good, and I think that when I listen to the album more, they'll like make more sense for me. But they were just my initial kind of response to them. They were the ones I was least intrigued by. So I'm so sorry, Drew, for doing that to you. I feel like we did this recently where someone's. Oh, that was with Maria. My wait, no, who was it?
Well,
Where?
it was Ray of Light, Shanti,
Oh
and
yeah, and it was opposite. Wait, no, it wasn't opposite. It was the same
yeah,
thing.
my favorite was their least favorite.
Yeah, sorry. Um,
Round two.
okay. So now my Holy Trinity, kind of going off Ray of Light. My three is We Float, and that song to me felt very Ray of Light core lyrically and like spiritually, not sonically, but like I feel like I was like if they did like an electronica production, like Madonna could have put this on Ray of Light, which as we know is like maybe the highest compliment I can give something. I was so struck. I Nothing is more effective to me than a great closing track, and I was floored by the way this track sounds because we spend the entire album with these beautiful guitars, and then all of a sudden we hear this percussion, and then piano comes in, and I was like, "Holy fuck! What are we doing?" I was so gagged, I can't even tell you, and it felt like such a. And I when I was listening to it, I didn't know that it was the last track. And so I was listening to it, I was like, how is she going to follow this? Like, how can this be anything other than the last track? Then I looked and it was the last track. And it feels so much like the right placement for this song. I don't think the song would have worked anywhere else. And then the chorus is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever heard in my entire life. That chorus is like, I, I can't even tell you what that chorus did to me. The ascension that Drew was talking about. So Drew was on top of Wrigley Field. I was on fucking
I
Sears
wasn't even on
Tower.
top of it. I was so far in the sky that, like when you're in a plane and you're like, oh, that's a football field. Oh, that's a baseball field.
That was you.
That was me.
Whoa.
It's that was I was floating because We Float is what I was doing. Yeah, so We Float's my number three. My number two is I feel like this is very me core song. Um, I always love like a sad, weird moment, and Horses in My Dreams is my number two. Horses in My Dreams. From the second it started, I was like, oh, this is that girl. It actually, I put a note down that it reminded me of Mer Girl. It reminded me of it. And something I put down is this song feels like a complete world. This song is a spell. I felt like I was just under its enchantment the entire time. And like I saw in Genius Lyrics, the annotation that like this is inspired by like a dream that she had. And it kind of that fully makes sense because it has that like strange dreamlike logic to it where like you don't really know what's going on and nothing really makes sense, but everything makes sense. There was something Bjork like in her vocal delivery that I really loved.
Very Nitsky now that you say too.
And that's something that I was thinking about too.
That would be on Be the Cowboy.
Be the Cowboy. Well, because there's a song called Horse Named Cold Air on Be the Cowboy. That's one
Oh,
of my favorite
right. Yeah.
songs that I love that song. Um, uh, that song has so good. But yeah, Horses in My Dreams was incredible. And then my number one, I am also kind of ashamed, like what Drew had mentioned, but this song just took me to a level. I was up with Drew. With Drew with Kamikaze is me with this mess we're in. I was the what I want to say, which is also like the highest compliment I can give, is this song should have been on a Twilight soundtrack. The fact that this song was not on the Twilight Saga New Moon is baffling to me. It was incredible. First of all, they sound so fucking good together. And it's so funny that like I very much felt like it was like a two-parter, even though like Tom was like the one. It feels like a call and response almost, which is actually
Yeah.
funny because Taylor does that a lot on her male duets as well. Like both in The Last Time and Exile, the male vocalist starts, and then Taylor's the one that comes in second, which is kind of interesting. Um, and yeah, this felt very much like the two of them kind of going back and forth, and I felt like this to me was a story from the sea. I was at the sea with this one. This was a story
100%.
from the sea. It made me cry. It made me cry. And then I also put, oh, she's talking. Talk it out, PJ. And it got the biggest goddamn little mark. Yeah, this song was just,
Where's the
like, that's
AJ
the
review of
AJ.
this?
Oh, I'm a patron. Patron.
Pa
Patron?
Patreon. Patron. You should suggest
That
it.
that was my welcome moment.
Patron.
Patron.
Maria, I I'm trying to think of what I think your tracks are gonna be, and I don't know. I knew
I don't
Levi's would be that.
Wait,
I
you
don't think you guys are
did?
gonna clock it.
Yes, I knew horses would be in there, and I knew We Float would be in there.
Oh, but did you not know my number one?
I didn't know that that would be your number one. No, I thought it would be like you said something, or because I remember
Oh,
dogging it a
you said
little, and
something.
you
Also,
were like,
Good
"What?"
Fortune. Good Fortune was really up there
Yes,
for me.
that's very Levi bait,
Yeah, Good Fortune made me feel things.
right?
It's so good. So good.
Okay, Maria, take us home, girl.
Okay. Well, something I want to say too, since you talked about Horses in My Dreams, s- considering the fact that the Peaky Blinders folks use so much of her music in their show, it is insane to me that they didn't use Horses in My Dreams because the show has so much to do with horses. It's so crazy to me. I cannot believe that they did that. I just
Do
wanted
you
to
want to know
put
what I
that out
kind of
there.
need? I kind of need like an edit of Bella Baxter to Horses in My Dreams.
Yes, that would be great.
Could you imagine? Should I
It
learn
would
how
be
to
so
video
good.
edit so I could do that?
Start to make fan cams now.
Well, we still haven't gotten the Nelly Leroy Clarabout edit.
The fact that
Ooh.
that hasn't happened is cuckoo, considering Nellie Leroy is Clara Bow.
That is so crazy. Like, I think people our age just lack media literacy because no one
It's
saw
the
that
Babylon
Babylon.
erasure.
Exactly.
Well, because that's
Okay.
what was her name in the original script. The original script, her name was because I read the leak script,
Yeah.
because I'm a
Yeah.
bad person, and don't know why I said it like that, but yeah, her name is Clara Bow in the original script, and it's like she's like a real. It's like she's Clara Bow. She's not Nellie Leroy.
Are Clara Bow's likeness rights to copyright in the public domain?
Maybe I don't know, girl. I don't know.
Well, girl, if not Taylor Bottom.
Yeah. It's kind of it's interesting. I don't know why they made that choice, but yeah, she was Clara Bow in the original.
Well, because Nelly Leroy is just like she's the
Right. Nelly,
king.
It's
Nelly,
seismic.
she's the king, honey. Okay,
Exactly.
Maria.
Okay. So my me track is actually going to be the same as Drew, and it's Beautiful Feeling.
You guys are
Um,
fucking lame. I'm so sorry. What the hell?
Girl, you put my number one as your me, so I don't think you should be talking.
Okay.
I just it's my least favorite because melodically it's
Yes.
not super my favorite. Like it's not as interesting to me as the other melodies that appear across the album. And I kind of feel the same as Drew. Like it hits at a point where it's like, okay, we're kind of leveling out. And then it, like you said too, with the way that it kind of feels like there's two different feelings on the album. Side A kind of feels a certain way, and then side B feels different. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of the track that transitions us. Not that it feels like an interlude or a transition track, but yeah, melodically, it's just not my favorite in comparison to the rest. So that's my answer.
I love how I'm writing so hard for it. It's not even
Um,
my top three.
I know.
yeah, for real. Okay, so I literally cannot emphasize enough how difficult
This
it
one's
was to make
hard to
some of
do
these
a top
decisions.
three.
This one was really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my third is gonna be One Line.
Great.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Third is One Line. I love how that song builds on top of itself
Yes.
throughout the course of it. So great. Number
But
two
that's
is
the
gonna
thing about Beautiful Feeling. You couldn't go from one line to the horse hustle. I don't
right,
think. Right? Like
right,
it you kind of have to have that
Oh
equilibrium.
yeah,
Sorry.
every song is essential. Even the ones that
Yeah.
like maybe not
100%.
are in your personal taste. Like, and they have to be in the order that they're in. I can't imagine this album sequenced any other way. Like, Big Exit has to open the album.
Oh, totally.
Such a good first track. Mm.
Big Exit sorry, I hate to like ramble, but Big Exit as an opener gives me Los Angeles by Haim.
Which is, if you know, Maria, do you know Los Angeles?
Like probably top 5 album openers of all time.
That, oh, Drew, why'd you
Maria,
do
you would
this to
love that
me?
song.
You would love that whole album. I mean, I'm a huge Haim fan, so I'll probably pick an album from them at some point. Maria, you would love, don't you think Maria would love that album?
Yeah.
So the thing is, though, I actually know for a fact I've listened to this album before, but I listened to it while I was working, so I don't think I remember a lot of it.
It does. You do have to focus, kind of like this one. You do have to kind of focus to get the depth of it
Totally.
because
Totally.
it could kind of string along together.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
could come off as like easy listening music, and it's not that
Yeah.
at all.
Right. Got it.
But Los Angeles is like career highlight for them for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love.
But sorry, same vibe.
Yeah. Okay, so number 3, One Line. Number 2, This Is Love. Which I'm lucky surprised none of you guys said anything about it.
We're fake.
That was probably towards the bottom half for me, the bottom of the album.
Yeah,
And that makes sense, I guess, because I gravitated towards the less rocker
Yeah.
moments.
for sure. Wait, Drew, where did this one end up for you? Do you know?
I didn't do a song sorter because I didn't want to have to take 2 hours. So I
I also didn't, but I just kind of felt the vibe out.
felt the vibe
Okay.
out. But picking
well,
the
I
top
actually
3
did
was
one.
really hard.
Well, so then where would this vibe be for you?
For me or for Maria?
Well, I know where it would be for Maria. It'd be number 2.
I think it would be like middle for me. I don't because I didn't do a song sorter, so I don't know, but it would be the middle,
It's
I
middling.
think. It's middle.
Snipe.
The middle. Okay. And then number 1 for me is gonna be A Place Called Home.
Wait, do we have any overlap, the 3 of our top 3s?
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
your number the semester we're in. We both have this semester we're in.
Oh.
You and
Oh, we both have this mess we're in. Yes, we do.
dang, Horse
I
Hustle
think it's
is not
also
yours.
crazy. No,
Was it close or?
it was like in the middle.
Oh, okay, cool.
What was your number 4? I'm just curious, since you did it.
My number 4, if there could be 3A and 3B, like
But
it
it's
was like
B,
almost
not
kind of
A.
okay. All right,
Oh my God.
whatever, girl. So my number 4 was You Said Something.
Okay.
Thank you.
That
Yes.
tracks.
Yeah, you did say something. Yes.
You said something
hey-
that I've never forgotten. Think about that.
Oh, I never forgot it. That
about it.
that
It was
was
really-
maybe number 4 or 5 for me too.
You said something that was really important.
That's so good.
Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, I think honestly, this is probably going to be similar. We're going to have to, since now you guys are in the know about this, we're going to have to check in maybe quarterly to do song sorters for this again, because I think this is, for me, it's going to be like Renaissance where it drastically changes.
Yeah,
depending
for
on
me
the
it will
quarter.
too. I could easily have a moment with like Beautiful Feeling and it's ascend to number 1. No, actually
Yeah.
no, because Kamikaze is always that girl. But
See, it's so funny. I think it was hard for me to actually, I don't know why I was saying it was hard, because it actually kind of wasn't hard for me to figure it out.
oh, cool.
Well, I think I was lying, actually, because I don't know why.
Cool.
So you're a liar. Cool.
Okay, wait, should we do our rankings? We're like,
Yeah, let's do
We're-
it. Let's do it. Drew,
okay,
go.
Drew Fork is
Drew Fork.
I'm just gonna say it. It's a 9.0.
Maria just did the Jamie Lee Curtis "Shut Up" gif.
No, I did
Okay,
the
no.
Miss
Sorry,
Miller.
I also didn't mean to do a hard pivot.
No, you're good.
Pivot.
But that's
Okay,
lovely.
But
Maria.
we are running out of time.
Maria Spoon.
Maria Spoon, 9.5. Boom.
Boom.
It's amazing.
Levi Knife. Levi Knife when
9.3 when.
dang, I had the lowest score. I'm a loser.
Yeah, you literally hate PJ Harvey. You're the one who wants her to die now.
Wait, I can't believe Drew hated this album.
Yeah, Drew literally fucking hated this album.
Oh,
He doesn't even like Kamikaze that much.
girl, I loved it because I'm gonna go listen to it after this and ascend.
Levi, what did I give Art Pop?
You gave our pop a 9.5.
Same as Art Pop
T.
for you.
Okay, T, yes.
And I gave this the same as art pop as well.
yeah.
I did
Okay,
not
let
give
me-
it. This is better than Art Pop for me.
Rocket number 9, take off to the planet, PJ.
Planet Kamikaze.
Okay, so the average for this is a 9.26.
Wow.
My fault.
To me, it's like I don't think I could have gone higher just because I don't have an emotional reaction to it, emotional attachment to it yet. But like I can totally see this being a high nine,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Love.
Love.
Well, that's
Okay.
huge.
Are we
Well,
ready to
thank you
close the
both.
book on the story
Yes. Let's do
from
it.
the city and also the sea?
Yes. Ta-da. Well, yeah, thank you both so much for listening to
Maria, I'm
this.
so
And I
happy you gave us
Yeah,
this
I'm so
album.
happy you chose it.
yes. Woohoo. Well, Drew, do you want to tell us what we're going to
Yeah.
do next week?
So, next week was an easy one for me to choose. We're doing the Wicked soundtrack for the movie. When we're recording this, this comes out. We're recording this on the Sunday before the Wicked movie comes out. So by the time we record, we will have seen and then also obviously listen to the soundtrack. So yeah, kind
Yay.
of an interesting episode because we'll be able to talk about like movie thoughts a little bit, even though we're not like a movie review podcast. But yeah,
Film girlies.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're really excited.
Yay!
Yay!
Okay.
All
Woohoo.
right.
Love you, Pop
Well,
Girlies.
love you, Pop Girlies.
I'm gonna go hang out with the horses in my dreams.
I'm gonna go float.
Oh, fuck, guys. I gotta clean this mess we're in.
Real.
I'm gonna go for hustle and hustler whore.
Ooh.
Oh, wait. Wait. Oh, fuck. I just heard my boyfriend. He said something. So, and it was really important. And I'm never gonna forget it. Gotta go listen to it again.
In that place called home.
Real. Well,
Okay,
there
Drew,
we
say
have
the
it.
last line.
All right, bye, Shanti.